Today we're working on a pretty cool special bike. The Schwinn Homegrown. So this is the tomato red Schwinn Homegrown. I believe it's a 97. It is not my bike. I'm building this for a friend, Eric. I don't know if you're gonna watch this, but whatever. He's had it since it was new. It's mostly all original stuff on it. It's got the homegrown seat, the full XTR stuff on it, which is super rad. And minus this Alevio shifter. So maybe it's not all original, but it's a cool bike. And I'm fully aware that the cheap bike Buildoff is still going on, but we're gonna kind of double up here because I really want to build this bike for him. So we might as well do both, Is that cool with you? So I really originally intended to only have videos about the cheap bike Buildoff for the whole contest, but I just couldn't find an organic way to talk about stuff without a bike in front of me. So hope this doesn't bother you guys. And per usual, there's a sporting event going on next door, so if you hear a bunch of hooting and hollering, that's what it is, So Eric is a friend of mine and the shop's. He's been around for a minute in Fort Collins, and he got this when he left the Navy, I believe. He'll correct me and tell me why I'm an idiot if I said that wrong, but I think this is the first thing he bought when he left, and he's had it since. And he said that this is his favorite bike that he's pretty much ever had. So he wasn't riding it much anymore. It was hanging up in the ceiling. He wasn't sure what to do with it. And so we kind of talked through some options, and we're going to turn it into kind of like a super commuter. It's going to go back to being rigid. No more suspension fork because there's really no use for it. It's going to go one by with a super simple drivetrain. Of course, we got to keep the original derailleur, and it's just going to be overall a really good, solid commuter build. God, thing was on there. But as far as the cheap bike Buildoff goes, I'm getting so many entries. I think I'm already up to 50, which is like equal or already more than I had last year. And we've still got a week left. So that's pretty sweet. Everything that's been rolling in has just been amazing. And thank you for watching my Instagram video that I posted. Because the entries have been very consistent. And if for some reason you don't follow my Instagram, but you do watch all my YouTube videos, one, thank you. I understand not wanting to be a part of the Meta ecosystem. But basically, what I put out was asking everybody to kind of standardize the entries because I was getting a lot of mixed entries, and it was getting really difficult to keep things, keep track of things, basically. So I'll go ahead and reiterate all those things for you YouTube people. It's really simple rules. All I need from you is a nice drive side photo of the bike and a parts list. Jesus. With all of your prices included. And I've reiterated this before, but free parts, we're not doing that. You got to put a price on even your own parts bin because not everybody has the opportunity to have a big parts bin. And then the last thing is just send it to this email. It's just mulletmechanic@gmail.com, spelled the same as my Instagram or my YouTube. And just send basically those two things over is really all I need. If you want to be known for your build, make sure to include your name and or Instagram if you want to be referred to by your Instagram name. I was getting a lot of videos or like links to download photos, which was a little bit tough for me because there are so many entries this year and I have to like keep track of everything, and I'm a very disorganized person. So the easier you make it for me, the better everything will run. So if you're willing to help me out and make the email easy to find everything, that's awesome. Thank you. And I'm not trying to deter anyone from writing messages or putting some info about the bike or how you found it or the story that goes along with it, because I genuinely love reading those. So please don't stop doing that. I'm just asking for those 3 main things so I can keep everything nice and organized. Damn it. Oh, God. This is going to be one of those, huh? I really hope these cranks aren't stuck. Well, luckily, we're reusing these cranks, and the bottom bracket feels really good. So I might honestly leave these on there forever, because, all right, we'll see if we can get them off first. Oh, that's why. I left the washer in there. That was my bad. That was my bad. What was I talking about? Cheap bike Buildoff stuff? Yeah, I read every email. If you've already submitted and something's missing, I'm going to try to email everybody that has something missing back or something that I need from you. But that is a little bit difficult because there's a lot of emails, but I'm gonna try to get to everybody. And I really wanted to make this another video, being able to show off all the bikes that have entered. But dude, I don't know if I can. There's a lot of bikes. This bottom bracket did feel really good, so I'm hoping it's not seized in there. It might be seized in there. Shit. I think it's moving. Easy. And if you think this is a bad idea, you know, eat it. Because that's easy. It looks like whoever installed this back in the 90s did a great job. There's lots of grease in there. I approve. The last thing we really need to tear off is this fork. Pull off the headset, take these bars. We're keeping a similar riding position, but updating the cockpit a good bit. Got some bars with some more sweep, and just, you know, making the bike a bit more comfortable. It's not trying to do some 90s XC riding anymore, which is fair. Most people kind of aren't. Everything's going pretty smooth, gonna be honest. This bike was built by a professional. It was purchased here in town, from what I remember, way back in the day. But I forget which bike shop it was. I don't think they put a sticker on this bike, otherwise then I'd know. And I gotta say, this bike is really cool. I think this was kind of the best era for Schwinns, if you're talking like aluminum days. That's in there. Nice. Not too bad. The headset even looks pretty decent. I'll probably reuse that. Maybe. We'll see. I think I'll use the same headset. I think it'd be cool to keep it. It's a nice old Ritchie Logic headset, and those are super solid, so just kind of got to clean the bike, which is pretty easy. And then we'll chat what's going back on it. And I'm probably just going to run a time lapse on this because I think you guys have seen me clean bikes plenty. It's really not that difficult. You just need something to break up the dirt and then something to remove the dirt. Breaks up the dirt, removes the dirt. Easy. Frame's all clean. I clean the headset. Ah, I forgot to clean the bottom bracket. One second. Okay, now the frame's clean. Headset bearings and headset cups are in excellent shape, so I'm gonna reuse them. I think that there is something to keeping some of the original parts with the bike, especially stuff that like the Logic headsets now are not as nice as these. I just think it's a nice little piece. So we're gonna keep the headset and let's grab the new fork. He liked the geometry with the suspension fork. So I went with a Surly fork that had the same axle to crown as the suspension fork. It was this one. I think this is technically a 27.5 or a 29er fork, but the axle to crown is the same. It's a quick release and it's got a disc mount. So that means we're doing a disc conversion. You might be wondering what I mean when I say axle to crown. Axle to crown measurement is from the axle to the very top of the fork that touches the headset or the crown of the fork. So this measurement from here to here is almost the same as from here to here. And when you're talking about suspension axle to crown, you have to remember that when the bike is being ridden, it sits a little bit into the suspension. And depending on how much travel you have, it's like 10 to 20 to 30% of the overall. So I got a fork axle to crown that is slightly shorter than the suspension fork. So this will keep about the same riding geometry. Now what I need to do is I need to take this crown race off and swap it over to the other fork. This is the thing that rides on the bearings. You can put in these old forks, have a little spot on either side for a screwdriver, which I'll show you right now. So you just kind of take your screwdriver and you wedge it in those spots. And then the crown race comes off. Simple as that. Now we're going to put our crown race back on the new fork. You want to use a very thin layer of grease just to make sure it doesn't seize. A lot of newer forks have some kind of coating, but you know, it's still good practice to do this. Slide that guy down. Now I have the actual tool, but people like Gary's Projects have done this with like a homemade version. Go watch his video if you want to learn how to do that. And you hammer it until it is flush with the fork. And I'd say that's pretty good. Now this is the best part. You can put some grease in your headset, you know? There's no such thing as too much grease, at least for this. So, you know, you want your bearings to spin, so grease it up a lot. It's probably enough, right? Don't forget the bottom cup too. And now, just put your bearings back in. Should be nice and smooth. I'm just gonna slide the whole thing through, which this was the hard part before, so let's see if we can fix that. Damn it. Forgot to take out the expander cap. 1 second. All right, I fixed it. There's lots of ignorant people next door chanting USA because I found out there's a hockey game against Canada, and America sucks right now, so no one should care about that. Honestly, kind of hope Canada wins. So I'm not sure what I'm going to cut this to yet, so I'm just going to loosely fit it with the old stem and keep the old stem cap because it's red and it's the homegrown stem cap, so, you know, no, going to find another one of those for a while. The headset feels good. I mean, it's not under compression, but it feels good, so we'll leave it at that. This bike is going to get a new wheel set. However, I don't have the wheel set ready quite yet. So I'm going to stick the old ones on there. They're not bad wheels. We need a disc brake in the front. And I want to see what this looks like. Because I think it's going to look pretty fucking sick. So there might be a lot of rake. But remember, we did a suspension correction. So it might look a little weird, but I think the Geo is going to look nice. And once we put like a basket and a rack on it, I don't think that looks too bad. It's like kind of silly, but at the same time, it looks right. It shifted like the bottom bracket height looks right. It's going to be a semi-aggressive commuter, but I think that this all makes sense. Fun fact, that's the same fork that I have on my bike packing bike. I guess this is the newer version because my version has the mounts on the front side too. Yeah, I think that looks good. Based on the options that Surly has, I determined that a slightly slacker head tube angle would be better than a slightly steeper one. The two options that I really had were to get this fork, which is an axle crown of 465, and this fork, the original suspension fork, is an axle crown of about I think it was like 485. So it's 10 mil different, so that would mean that this had about 10 mil of sag, which is not uncommon for older forks because there's limited adjustment and all that. The only other option that I had from Surly was a fork with a 420 axle to crown, which would steepen the head tube angle, which I think that it might negatively affect the handling, especially with, you know, some stuff on the bike and how we're going to set it up. So I think I made the right decision. And the other fork is also a through axle, so I would have had to then gone and find a through axle wheel, and they're not super common at the co-op, especially a 26-inch through axle wheel that is not a dirt jumper wheel, because it's a 12 mil through axle, not a 15 or an 18 mil, or even, is it a 20 mil through axle for dirt jumpers? Besides the point. Either way, I think this bike's coming along pretty good. This is just the mock-up. I wanted to get the fork on there to see the Geo in person, make sure it's right. I think it is. Eric's a bigger dude, so I think that this setup will be more comfortable for him than a steeper, like, head tube angle. Someone knows what I mean out there. But yeah, that's kind of all I had planned for today. Cheap Bike Buildoff ends the 23rd at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Don't forget to submit your bike. Very stoked to see everybody's. I think the tournament, the whole voting bracket is going to be a big mess, most likely. So stay tuned for that. I'll have more updates. And for this bike, I'm very excited to build it. Tell me your favorite Schwinn down in the comments below. I think the Homegrown's probably top 5 because it's sick. Also, it's a really light bike. But either way, thanks for watching. I got nothing else. I got nothing else today. I'll get all the parts cleaned off camera, maybe for Instagram, whatever. Catch you in the next one.